Nah, y'all don't get two. Cowboy, how fucking dare you? Your Jags prediction didn't last long. How about me going 5 for 6 on divisional weekend, and I said, whoever wins between the Jags or Bills, it's a toss-up. I have the other one going to the Super Bowl. How about some credit for nailing my predictions? 5 for 6. I'm not going to unplug. Fuck you. 1 second. I crushed. Predicted the upset, predicted the Niners over the Eagles. Are you kidding me? Dodged the trendy upset picks. It was pretty good. Wasn't perfect, but 5 for 6. That's winning in Vegas. Anywho. Thank you, Will, for the 24 months, Arun for the 25, and Matt for the 25. I appreciate you. Well, we have a Matt ranked today. It's possible. Stop shit-talking Burrow. I think Burrow's great. Just, can't stay on the field. How are you guys? Welcome. Today we get to introduce or reintroduce a segment that's been long forsaken on the Cory Wertenberger Twitch broadcast. Looking at Cory's tweets that got somewhat negative responses. This is one of my favorite segments. I was heated post-Traders episode drops, and I wrote up some shit. And I feel good about it. Any more marks back? No. Just one. So, I'll rebut people's stupid traders' opinions because they're stupid. And second, we're going to look at the Reddit because I saw 2 posts that, what's the word? Require my attention. Require my discourse. These posts yearn for analysis. And I'm here to provide it. And then we're going to begin a 5-stream process ranking every player of the new era. We are ranking the first 17 players, meaning the worst 17. Who is the worst player of the new era? Did Cory have a final 2 with them? All of these questions will be answered by the end of stream. So that's essentially what's happening today. No Big D attempts, no charm school. I'm trying to keep these streams short just because I have so much reading. I like these new courses I'm taking a lot. The professors are cool, but the reading load is a lot higher. Now, here's the thing. This is a philosophical question for anybody who's ever been in school. I think that's everyone. When you get rewarded, despite having shitty studying habits, or at the very least, shitty academic habits, in terms of, not really doing the readings as intently as you should, and kind of having to cram at the end and teach yourself a lot of concepts. Okay. When you're rewarded despite doing all those things, what do you do? Because I kind of walked into this next semester saying I got to be a much better student. Right? I don't think I was good at law school last semester. The grades start rolling in, and it's like, you know what? Maybe this thing isn't so bad. Maybe there is a method to my madness. More about managing the stress than the result. So here's my thought. This is my thought, okay? The stress for the final, month, let's say at least 3 weeks before finals, was devastating. Devastating. Now, the stress for the previous 3 months before that was probably significantly lesser than that of my peers who were locked into every reading, and when they wouldn't understand something, they'd go to office hours. You know what I mean? So my stress is more concentrated, but wouldn't you all rather have a really stressful 3 weeks as opposed to a genuinely or generally stressful 4 months? Chat, what do you think? Keep doing what you're doing. It's going to be okay. That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you, Cowboy. I'm glad we have unanimous advice in the chat. Maybe in undergrad, but not for law school. Here's the thing. I'm in law school. Because you seemed miserable. Based on what? You don't see enough of me. By what metric was I miserable? I was. So ding, ding, ding. But I would like to know your evidence. See, I'm a lawyer. Where's the evidence? What's up? What's up, hey, bub? You got this? All right. Sure. Well, you talked about it. I got lawyered once again. You're right. Anonymous, thanks for gifting a dog who's snooping in the chat, apparently. Just lurking. Kind of disrespectful that she's not subbed already. I'm surprised she's not subbed just for the fact of, I know she doesn't have, like, ad blocker or anything, and I assume she would just want to avoid ads. Liz, thank you for the 2 years. I appreciate you. Based off your month-long Twitch hiatus. You don't think that was just because I was over it? I'm just doing it for the money? I wish. It obviously is partially for the money, but mostly for the love of the game. Because here's the thing. Twitch is like weird because it is much more monetizable than a lot of other forms of content. However, the monetization is super unoptimal. Like Amazon gets a lot of the money, obviously. Whereas if you go on Patreon or TikTok's pretty bad too. Like the bigger platforms generally have worse splits for creators. I'm not complaining. I like Twitch. I've gotten pretty good at it. What's up, Chappelle? Chappelle, quick question before you head out. Today I'm doing my player rankings. All of the new era starts season 23. One question. Who's the worst player of the new era? Your insight will be taken into account. It'll weigh heavily on my conscience. And if he doesn't answer, I got bad news for Suri. Someone's going to have to get the punishment. You simply have to. And why is it Durston? When you run the house for a few weeks, can't be you. Wasn't there a guy named Daniel or something in Zach season? He's thinking of Daniel Strunk from Survivor. I'm talking Big Brother, but Daniel Strunk is a funny call. That's one of the most legendary strays of all time. The worst Big Brother player of the new era. You said that guy Daniel with the broken shoulder from Zach season. Either Daniel works. All right. Fair enough. It's under advisement, Chappelle. Okay. Let's get into... People hated my tweet. And I think it's kind of because people hate the truth. As I've often found. So let's look into this. I tweeted proudly. Spoilers. This is spoilers for traders. If this is spoiling you, get a grip. Here is my annual shitting on traders tweet. Fun show, great production, virtually no strategy. Don't read this as me playing a tiny violin for nerds, but specifically in the traders, Dan, Ian, Rob, and other players like that have virtually no shot. The format incentivizes the duds. I'll admit, putting quotation marks around duds does not soften that blow. If I was like, Chappelle, you're a dud, quotation marks, but I'm sure you're a great person, I don't think that would make me feel better if I was Chappelle. So that one, I admit, it was a dig. It was a dig. It was a little bit of a jab. But in fairness to me, Dancing with the Stars does not need traders rep unless it's Derek Huff. We don't need two figure skaters. And if you find a truly insane figure skater, put him in the mansion. Absolutely. Anywho. To stick around, missions are unwatchable. I'm bitter, but I also think I'm just right. It's the title of my autobiography. Glad Donna survived the first vote because that would have been sad. At this point, I did not see she didn't survive the second vote. But that is funny. For players like Ian and Rob, the best advice I would give is be a fundamentally different person. That's impossible. Every show favors different archetypes, and the superfans got the short end of the stick tonight. Rob R has been fun, though. Okay. Now let me address the most common, the two most common counterclaims. Bruno. Is Bruno here? I'm talking about sets. I was like, it wouldn't be that shocking for Bruno BB Can 5 to be in the chat. I've been in his chat. I think he's been in here before. Anywho, the biggest criticism I received, and I think this is the most fair criticism. Cory, Jesus, take a chill pill. The Traitors is not meant to be a game of social strategy. It's a fun soap opera with your favorite reality TV personalities. I get that. I agree. I think that's what Traitors is trying to be. It's failing. It's failing. Why? And I implore all of you who are watching The Traitors, going to watch the next episode, to have a keen eye for this. The Traitors is so grossly overproduced. And I don't mean the costumes. I don't mean the castle. I don't mean Alan's hosting. I love all of that. The set pieces, those are great. The conversations you see between two people in the Traitors Castle is like so beyond spliced and cut, and it's like a 2-second soundbite and then a 3-second soundbite and music blaring the whole time and then confessionals interwoven. It's like incomprehensible to find out what is happening and why it's happening. It's edited like a soap opera. Every show is overproduced? Absolutely not. Love Island is not overproduced at all. Survivor, not overproduced. Big Brother, we're getting closer. Big Brother's pretty overproduced. That one's there. But Traitors, I think, crosses like an even further boundary. Because at least Big Brother has the excuse of like, okay, the episode is on Sunday and they're showing things that happened on Friday. Like, you're kind of, Love Island's figured it out, but Big Brother hasn't. I'm taking the assignment more seriously all of a sudden. It's a very serious assignment. I had to push aside my law school assignments to finish this assignment. The other part. So first of all, the soap opera, the drama of it all, it doesn't land for me because it's overproduced and I feel like I don't see real conversations. That's part one. Part two, the drama is kind of meaningless because the subject matter, the backdrop to all the drama, is a silly game of Mafia. So if I've got Phaedra yelling at Dan Giesling, it's like, oh my god, this is amazing. What a fan fiction. It's not about the shit that I want to hear Phaedra talk shit about. Like, why Real Housewives is so fun is they talk shit on the most, like, personal, gritty, fucked up level. And when it's like, no, you're a traitor. You expose me as a traitor? How dare you? That breaks the traitor's oath. It's a bit more lame. So for me, the drama doesn't land. I think the best case of drama in Traitors history for me was Danielle Reyes just existing. It was just captivating to watch. It was almost like a one-person carry job for that season. So I'm not saying Traitors can't be good. There's fun moments. Murder in Plain Sight, if they design it well, the Parvati Chalice was a good moment. Like, the show has potential to be fine. I just think the game does not function well as a soap opera drama because of how it's edited, how it's produced. Now, people who have criticisms about my take on the game, I don't know what the argument is. What everyone points to is, of course, gamers can win these shows. Look at Suri. Which is such a shitty example for so many reasons. The most obvious reason, Suri was a traitor. If you're a traitor on the Traitors, there's stuff to do. A lot of it's still luck, but way less of it, because overnight you can't just be slaughtered. The game doesn't just end for you at night. That's where your game starts, basically. That's number one. Number two, of course, that season was half, civilians. Half civilians, and then all the other reality TV people asked had no idea who Suri was, sans, I guess, Stephanie LaGrossa. Rachel was probably aware to some capacity. Cody, what the fuck did Cody know? Obviously, when less people are aware of your legacy, your resume, your skills, your capabilities, it gives you a much easier path to, hoodwink everybody. Now, there's a third element that also helps Suri, And this is all on top of the fact that Suri's like, the game's built for her. And she's built for the game. Like, it's a game about coming off as a faithful and being a traitor. Like, that is all in Suri's wheelhouse. Suri comes off as so endearing and, like, you're part of her crew and she wants you to be in the end with her. And she doesn't even care about winning herself. She wants you. Frankly, the Traitors just is a better format for Suri than Big Brother or Survivor. Which is good. Like, I'm glad Suri got a show that, like, is actually, you know, winnable. Like, in modern Big Brother, it's hard to imagine how Suri wins unless she has, like, Jared or Izzy. Someone there to just win comps and choose to lose to her, you know? And I think also comparing Suri to Dan Giesling, Rob Sesternino, Ian Terry, I don't think that's fair. Obviously, when you have all these reality TV personalities enter the castle and see everyone, they're not going to associate Suri with the same stuff they're going to associate the nerds with. That's why I put that part of my tweet. Excuse the tiny violins. It's just different, obviously. And you could very easily make the case in Big Brother and in Survivor, those nerds, especially the white nerds, experience a massive advantage by virtue of being like the white nerd, of course. Like, you know. Again, I just want to be very clear. I'm not saying that someone has to stand up for the cis white men in reality TV. But I think you guys understand the distinction that I'm making, right? It's like, it's pretty obvious. So I just don't think Suri's a valid counterexample. If you want to celebrate Suri for her Traitors win, I'm down. I was so excited when, obviously it was before BB25, when I was at a haircut and it got leaked who won, and I was reading it. I was pumped up. It was awesome. So if you want to credit anyone for what they do on Traitors, I'm happy. If you want to say Rob R., what a menace. He's awesome. I'm down. Okay. What other criticisms did I receive? Let's see. I don't disagree, but it's hard to say that when Suri and CT as gamers did strategize to win the first 2 seasons. Plus, it might be harder this season if there are no gamers as traitors. We talked about Suri. As for CT, Trishelle, any other gamer who's won, winning as a faithful, it's kind of goofy to me. I think all you can do as a faithful is be very likable. If you try to pursue the traitors too much, you're screwed. If you come off as doing nothing, you're screwed. They're going to kill you because you're too obviously a faithful. It is not impossible for a gamer to win. Also, can we be real? The Challenge versus Survivor Big Brother, they're different shows. CT, again, does not come off as Cory or Rob or Ian. It's obviously different, right? I don't think CT's branded as like the sneaky guy. Trishelle neither. So I just guess like the fact that gamers have won does not mean that like that archetype can succeed or will succeed with any semblance of regularity. It's louder in the browser scene. I'll drop it. This should be about equal. Lord Ivar also won as a faithful, of course. So as a faithful, I think it largely comes down to chance with a bit. This is the one that pissed me off, and this is where I got a little snippy. I like to hold that back usually. Virtually no strategy. Not true with everyone. It's a game in the same category as Survivor and Big Brother, and the gamers can't adapt and are targeted. It's their own fault. Rob C. excluded, of course, but this is essentially saying my fave went home first. Worst show ever. I said this last season, and I'll say it next season. I've said this every season. Every time I've had the opportunity to talk about traitors, I was on Sharon Tharp's Traitors podcast, and I was shitting on the game. The game's broken, and that's fine. It's not meant to be... Like, if you're trying to put it in the same conversation as Survivor and Big Brother as a social strategy game, that's an unserious opinion. And I'm not going to, like, treat it like it is. It's not a maintainable position to hold. Now, I'd be curious to talk to Puya, because obviously in the civilian versions of traitors, there is a lot of, like, nuance to the game, and, like, there's ways to play as a traitor and things to do as a faithful to maximize your chances. I'm not saying there's no strategy in the game. That's ridiculous. However, when you compare it to Survivor or Big Brother, that's when you just like lose all legitimacy, lose all ethos. You're just not a reliable narrator at that point. It's like I'm talking to someone about basketball, and they're like a Michael Jordan person. I'm like, okay, that's chill. You like Michael Jordan. And they got like LeBron ranked 11th all time. It's like, okay, your opinion on LeBron has invalidated your valid opinions about all these other people. Like, I don't care about your Duncan versus Kobe opinion because your LeBron opinion shows you have no idea what you're talking about. So while this person might have some decent points, them being like, traitors, Big Brother, Survivor, they're all the same. It's over. I got nothing to discuss with you. So you say Luke, Kelly. All right. Well, Chappelle, you might be on the right track. you might be doing pretty well. I think it's time to start completely deciding traitors by random draw. Can I tell you what they should do? And I feel like this is such an obvious solution, obvious fix. They should randomize traitors draws. They should ensure that whoever is the traitor is determined by pure luck. Right? And look, I'm not a big fan of, like, rigging shows. I think they should rig the show. I think they should tell everyone traitors, for the first time, it's a twist this season, are being selected by random draw. And then they just pick their traitors. So there's no metagaming. And you can only do that once, I understand. Figure it out. The other solution, maybe this is a hot take too, only cast people who you'd be comfortable being selected as traitors. The reason why they select the traitors is because they're like, this person better not be a traitor or we're cooked. That's not good. Which I think is an indictment on casting. Like, everyone should be either a viable, faithful, or a traitor. Not meaning they'd be good as both, but they'd be interesting and good casting. I mean, the way they pick currently is rigging. That's not rigging. That's just selection. I'm saying lie. Like, lie to the competitors, even the audience. I don't care. Contain it, Chappelle. She's been chill post-show. I think. I don't know. I haven't met her. Seems good. In what world could Dan and Parvati both be traitors and both get to the end? It's a tough route. Don't get me wrong. Oh, I get heated every time someone brings up, Dan bringing up Phaedra. Y'all, it's an individual game. We don't have to go into it. You guys know my thoughts. Anyways, feels like this is a much bigger issue in the U.S. version of the show, given the nature of casting known entities. Will be interesting to see if the trend carries over to civilian series. See, Chappelle, I don't quite understand the appeal of traitors with civilians. I don't know. Again, people like it. I understand it could be good. You know, I'm not here to... Here's the truth about reality TV. If you have a good enough cast, the format doesn't matter. A good cast makes up for any game design. For me, I just think I have too many fundamental problems with traitors game design to, like, care to watch. Outside of supporting, like, people who I'm friends with or just generally am a fan of. Imagine a traitors cast of all gamers. I mean, they say this to Big Brother all the time. I think traitors is probably better with all gamers, but that's not the spirit of the show. I don't think that's what it should become. I think it's better if you do all gamers or all, like, housewives and just people in that world. But, like, part of the show is the Super Smash Bros. Avengers, crossover. So, I don't want to destroy that. This Suri thing is so annoying. This is the chaotic soap opera thing. Gamers should be smart, capable of reading the room and blending in with the sheep. Telling people you don't know for sure innocence that you realize... Oh, God, I get so upset. You can't be anonymous on this show. You go in and everyone knows what show you're from. And if you don't know what show they're from, someone's going to tell you. Like, there's no... Like, Rob Sesternino cannot play a different character. He is who he is. And it seems from everything we've seen, he was, like, very social, well-liked. People were upset he was killed. Ian didn't seem to do anything wrong. Not to mention, Rob's blunder during the murder in plain sight had zero effect. Like, we're certain of it. Maybe it would have after. Who could say? Chat BCC's popping off. What about? I've had it muted for a long time. All right. Let's get to the Reddit quickly, then we'll get over to player rankings, guy. Jam Jam versus Rob and Tiffany versus Jam Jam. It's traitors. Chat BCC, get me out. Has Donna talked? All right, let's see what we got here. All right. This is the best barometer for how much I respect your Big Brother opinion. The question's simple. Who's a better player? Jimmy or Angela? Put aside all your feelings. Who is the better player? I'm going to do a poll in chat, okay? I'm not going to give my take until we, until you all have a moment to respond. Right now, it's about 70% Jimmy, 30% Angela. All right. I think this is an indefensible opinion to say Angela's a better player than Jimmy. And I adore Angela. I've never met Jimmy. I wasn't the biggest fan of his online presence. Seems to have mellowed out. I'm sure he's fine. I'm sure we'd get along in person. Like, I have no beef with Jimmy. He's fine. There's no conversation here. I get so frustrated when people talk about placement as if there's not so obvious why Jimmy was targeted early and Angela was targeted late. Like, it's so apparent. All of Jimmy's blunders weeks 1 through 3. Y'all remember Angela's blunders weeks 1 through 3? Like, Angela's week 1 was game destroying. Jimmy's week 1 was like, oh, he's a 7 out of 10 player. And then everyone turning on him, we were like, that's the worst move of all time. I think Jimmy's an underrated player. I don't think he's perfect, but I think he was one of the better players in that house. Not one of the best, one of the better. Angela is like good at competitions. She has a good strategic mind in the sense of like she knows what the game is. She kind of knows who to target. But the Karanoia, if you want to call it, and that's not calling her a Karen. That's a Karen BB Can reference. It's an absurd opinion to think that Angela is a better player than Jimmy. Simulate Big Brother 1,000 times. I think Jimmy's winning by like a multiplicity of like 6 or 7. 6, 7. Someone clip this and send it to Jimmy. Jimmy played horribly. Too hard, too fast. I believe you have a prompt. A quick question. How did Angela play weeks 1? Let's just say week 1. How about day 1 through 3? If that's the concern, playing too hard, too fast. Is Karen a better player than Angela? I would take Angela over Karen, I think. I think Angela's comp ability... I think Angela, like, maybe could win a season. I find it tough for Karen to win a season. I don't know. It's pretty close. Very similar players, obviously. I think Angela's a lot more eccentric and, like, more dramatic, but she's better at comps. Which Karen? Karen from Big Brother Canada 5. Karen, forget her name, her last name. So I just don't think it's close. People argue Angela. It's just like a fundamental disagreement I have when it comes to Big Brother. Which is like placement is... All placement means is it shows like we got more time to see them play. Additionally, if I think you're likely to place well in every season, someone like Angela's tough. Bowie Jane. She'll get to the end game every time. Big Brother's kind of a random game. She could just win a season. She ends up next to Felicia. She ends up next to someone with a bitter jury. Like, if you put yourself in the end game enough times, I think that is valuable. If I think you're reliably gonna get there, I don't think Angela's that, because obviously why she's amazing TV is like she'll go out and say shit, you know? Angela played bad-ish, but Jimmy was snake-ish and tried to act like some mastermind. I don't think that's an argument. I don't. I reject your premise. I don't think that. I think that's very generous to Angela in this first couple of weeks, and she got better as the season went on for sure. But I don't think Jimmy had a week of gameplay that was close to Angela's bottom 3 weeks of gameplay. Right? She ends up next to Cass. Absolutely. Being a snake in BB isn't a bad thing. Yeah, being a known snake could be harmful. Angela's a more capable player. She had better reads and pathways to the end game. Pathways to the end game means so little to me. Like, the goal of the game is to win, not make it deep, you know? And if you want to say that's like a flawed game design where players who can't dominate end game comps can't win, I agree. It's just like that's the game we have. It's hard to imagine an endgame where Angela gets enough jury votes. That's what I agree with. 9 times out of 10, Angela goes further in a season than Jimmy. I don't even think that's true, but that shouldn't matter. But I also disagree. Jimmy got worse. Angela got better. There's so many insane comparisons I can make. Start, like, getting better from this spot, or like from down below the floorboard, like you start there and you get better. That's good. You want to get better. But starting like here and then like marginally getting worse, obviously you still end up better than the other person. I think you're rage baiting me. I think I'm falling for it. Angela had more, if she had more control over her emotional impulses. It's who you are, right? Like I would hate if Angela, you know, stopped doing that. Like, you know, that's why Angela's great. As first time players, probably Angela. I think Jimmy played a better game than Angela. Like, I think it's twofold. Like, who is a better player if you play 100 seasons, and who played the better game the first time? I think the answer is the same. I agree. I think her win equity was gone in week 1. And just because outside of the house, a lot of people created like a fan fiction where she could have the jury's respect, we know from the jury that wasn't the case. She could not win. There was like, vitriol's the wrong word, but like resentment. And I think it was like, again, I love Angela. Met her child. Like, I'm a huge fan. But that resentment was pretty earned from how she was in the house, right? Like, she was a menace. It was awesome. I mean, this just does it. Angela lasted longer, so I would give it to her. At least that logic tracks. I could understand that. If you're just saying, you know, 13 is worse than 6th, I'm with you. Let's talk about Quinn for a second, then we'll get on to the rankings. I wasn't able to figure out why Quinn is such a consistently HOH. I assume there's some negative adjective here. Looking back on BB 26, Quinn always had some idea what he should be doing. During week 7, he says he got to get rid of Chelsea and Cam. So we see that Quinn can simultaneously view 2 major threats, and as a duo decide not to target them. There are other notoriously bad HOHs, however, Quinn, such sheer hubris can be seen. Okay. Basically, I don't understand why Quinn made 2 really bad decisions as HOH. I think the Quinn criticism of his strategic game, it's a bit excessive. Like, I think Quinn's one of the better strategic players on his season. And you might say, that's crazy, Cory. He had 2 HOHs and evicted 2 of his allies. Okay. Who's better? Let's go down the list. Chelsea, absolutely. I'll give you all Chelsea. Better strategic mind. Cam, sure. Brooklyn, I'll give you. Now it gets tougher. Not giving you MJ. Not giving you Rubina. Chemo? Give me Quinn. I'll take Quinn over Chemo. Angela? Give me Quinn. Leah? I don't know. Maybe it's close. Joseph, I'll take Joseph. I think Joseph was better strategically. The gap there, like, socially, Quinn's so much better. But I think Joseph's a better strategic thinker. Not Tucker. I would give it to Cedric, theoretically, but I don't know, he volunteered and got sent home on Quinn's HOH. T-Core, I would absolutely say Quinn's a better strategic player than T-Core. T-Core nominated her ally in her HOH. Like, I think Quinn getting rid of Cedric's better than T-Core getting rid of Tucker. Nah, they're both bad. They're both pretty close. If T-Core was, like, trying to get rid of Tucker, I'd say T-Core is better. But both of them were blindsided. T-Core didn't know you could make deals? Exactly. Like, it's just he gets so much shit, and I think it's because, obviously, his archetype. There's a higher expectation on what he's supposed to do. Maybe this is a poor one out for the nerd stream. I don't know. Point is, I think Quinn had 2 bad HOHs, and neither of those bad HOHs rise to the level of the terrible HOHs we've seen since. I feel like in the past 3 seasons, we've had HOHs way worse than Quinn's. It's just the fact that he has 2 is what I think like makes it feel worse. I think his Cedric HOH, honestly, is pretty forgivable. I don't know. Cedric volunteered. He really wanted Tucker out. Cedric had a good shot to beat Tucker. Cedric almost beat Tucker. Vote was super close last minute. That could have worked out fine. I still, to this day, hope T-Core was trying to secretly get Tucker out that week. Yeah. I hope one day, Mountain Doofus, you're able to convince yourself. So that's all I want to say about the Quinn thing. I just think I think the criticism's a little excessive for the actual game moves that he made. The final 10 one was worse for the sole reason of, like, I get him not targeting Chelsea. I think it's the right move, but it's really hard when the best player's in the house and they're kind of running things, and, like, they had a good relationship all season. I just think not putting up T-Core was, like, the much more glaring issue there. And I don't really buy the excuse of, like, well, Leah knew that Joseph was going to go on the block, but it was, like, his decision at the end of the day. But I think not putting up T-Core was more glaring. He's explained it to me a few times, and it makes sense from his perspective, but that perspective is, like, just warped, of course, from, like, how you were thinking at the time when we have, like, omniscience. All right. Big Brother player rankings. Aha, all right. It's been a while since I've done this spiel. Let's do some cold calls. Anyone in the chat, do y'all happen to know the methodology by which I rate Big Brother players? I forget. It's been such a long time. Oh, what about the Morgan post? You're right. You're right. I wanted to discuss that. Pause. Yeah, Rich Tapestry. Hold it for a second. Let's talk about Morgan for a second. Because I think Morgan is a fascinating player. When was it posted? Was this posted like a week ago? Here it is. 4 days ago. Morgan Pope is an infuriatingly flawed player. Maybe the most overrated player of the new era. My opinions constantly fluctuated so much that I even made a post critiquing her ability and her path to the end after she and Mickey made the historically bad move targeting Jimmy. Of course, Morgan, by circumstance, skill, comp out. Morgan's early game is characterized. It's a long post. Overall, my perception of Morgan still stands. I think she is too flawed of a player with attributes such as obsession with her boys. I don't think that's fair. And a lack of tactical awareness being her Achilles heel throughout the whole game. I give her props for her social control over Vince, essentially flipping the script on the narrative who controlled the cheat mans. I feel like that narrative was never in the house. I don't think anyone ever thought Vince was running it. And of course, her win equity, but this is all reliant on her staying immune. Thus, I think Morgan is an above-average player with glaring flaws that just make her tactical awareness horrible in my opinion. I know some people think Morgan is this great third placer on par with Vanessa or Jason. This feels like a post that is much more... it seems much meaner than it is. Like, the way they're super critical of the game, obviously I would take offense to it if I was Morgan. But the take at the end of the day is like, she's an above average player with flaws and she's not on the level of Vanessa or Jason Guy, which is just true. Like, Vanessa's a legend of the game. I think Morgan is legendary in her own right for kind of similar reasons, other different reasons as well. But, like, she's not on that tier of player. And if someone's claiming that, I disagree. Right? Like, so again, I think this is a situation where, like, people saying Morgan is the sixth best player of all time sets up other people to degrade her and drag down her game. When the much more reasonable perspective of, like, yeah, she's one of the three best players on her season, depending on where you want to place her, depending on how much you value comps. My perspective on Morgan's game is pretty simple. Obviously, I'm friends with Morgan. I think she's great. I think she is a very flawed strategic player in the sense of a lot of the times it felt like she did not have a good read on house dynamics. Now, she compensated for that by being incredibly active. And I think that's her superpower. It's the same thing we almost saw like by Tony in Survivor Cagayan. It's like, by just putting yourself in the mix at all times and always gaming and always talking to so many people, you just give yourself a much better chance. Less people want to target you. She doesn't go on her comp run until late. She's not nominated for the first, 4 weeks. She gets very close to being evicted, but after that, it's smooth sailing. A lot because of comps, yes, but comps are a very important part of the game. And I think the other thing you have to give Morgan is, she had a couple people in the end game fighting for her. She's the comp beast. The next best competitor, Keanu or Vince is riding with her till the end. She's going to beat him convincingly. Ashley would not have targeted her for a bit. By the end game, yes. But we were all going to target Matt and Jag, and it didn't matter. And it was never going to matter. Simulate the season 100 times. So while I think Morgan's biggest flaw is, she would have strategic conversations with a lot of people. And from our perspective, it would be like Morgan's not making any sense. This argument just doesn't work. And it was very hard to tell whether Morgan was trying to manipulate the person she was talking to or if she had convinced herself that this is actually optimal for that person. Most obviously, the move for Vince to nominate Lauren, which is so funny in retrospect because it didn't matter. Lauren wins the blockbuster. But to me, it felt more like Vince or Morgan was trying to convince Vince that it was actually better for Vince's game to get rid of Lauren. And Morgan thought that as well. And that's just a bad read. Now, how much does that matter if she then, gets what she wants done anyways? I could see that argument too. I just think there's a strategic awareness thing that's that's not her ace. It's not her strong suit. But she's great physically. Super, super active strategically. And socially, she created a lot of very important bonds. Her bond with Vince was the most important bond all season. She was tight with Zach. She was super tight with Rachel. They're the most important players for most of the season. Tight with Mickey, of course. Tight with Jimmy. Every power player was deeply working with Morgan. And that's because of how active she was. I think it's that simple. She's flawed, of course. I just think it's find me a Big Brother player who's not. We're ranking the bottom 17 players of the new era. Shocker, Morgan, not in that ranking. No, she's not bottom 17. All right. Anywho, it's my little Morgan spiel. Live scene. Here we go. We're using a rich tapestry to rank the Big Brother players. That means combining a myriad of factors. Those factors including your social game, your strategic game, your competition ability, jury prospects, your actual game itself, how I would project your game, the circumstances in which you were evicted, what you did as HOH, what you did as a nominee, vibes. It's pretty simple. Let me guess, you want to rank yourself really high? I think I'm pretty, fair about myself. I said I was fourth best on my own season. I think I rank myself basically where consensus ranks me. And no, I'm not bottom 17. And yes, I am ranking myself, because it's an incomplete project if I don't. My mom says my hair looks good and she likes the shirt. Thank you, Mom. Feel free to say it in chat next time so everyone can see. All right. Any predictions for number 82, the worst player in Big Brother history? Well, I think he could be the worst player in Big Brother history, but definitely of the new era. We got two first-time chatters bursting out to say Matt and Luke. Number 82, Luke Valentine. Okay, where do I start with Luke? He's ejected for saying the N-word week 1. Okay, let's start there. That's not good. Not a good thing to do. Putting aside that, which I always find a funny thing, putting aside the racism, right? He was so bad at Big Brother. He would have been the first person evicted from the Big Brother house. I say with so much confidence had there not been a twist forcing for original nominees. He may not have gone home week 2 because at that point the house has shifted to a point where like he was a loose number that people were trying to pick up. But very simply, Luke was like the worst player in the house. He had no connections. He actually had like some friends who quickly turned on him because they were like, this guy's weird. If Riley had her pick of everyone in the house to target, would have picked Luke. Would have been backdoored that week had it not been for the twist. You good, Weedy? I feel like you're in thin ice. Let me just say that much. I don't think there's anything redeeming about Luke. Comp ability you think would be kind of okay, but like we didn't see it. I'm not going to give him credit. He was not good socially. He was just kind of off-putting to everyone. He had never seen an episode of Big Brother. I think he gets evicted in the first week or two. Basically every... Yeah, all right. Weedy, it's been a good run. It's been a good run. So let's move on to number 81. Any predictions? We've already had one ejection, not just from the chat, but from the game. Do you think the 81st ranked Big Brother player is also an ejection? Who could say? Weedy baits Quinn too. I'll go into Quinn's chat and ban him too. Coming in at number 81. Paloma. Look, there's you can make an argument for Paloma where it's like she was running the house. She had Pose Pack, which formed after her, but like she had the majority. Taylor was the house target. She was running things. Then she kind of lost it. Here's my thing. If you're losing your like sanity to the point of having to quit the game, kind of being removed from the game week 1, you can't hang. You can't do it. Paloma's not going to come on to another season and do better in that capacity. So even though, like, she is cutthroat enough to win Big Brother, she would be, like, the meanest person to Taylor and then be the one to go out of her way to comfort Taylor and be like, oh, I know all these people are being mean to you. I'm so sorry. And then go back to her crew and talk more shit. So, like, she has that dog in her. I'm not going to celebrate it because it was just being mean. But, like, she has the instincts. She knows to build a group. Socially, she was flying around the house. But she couldn't handle being in there for a week. And some other people share that fate, but at least they got evicted. They weren't, like, forcibly removed and or chose to quit. The other thing is, like, did she quit or get ejected? They don't really let you quit. A lot of players have tried to quit. No one's really succeeded. So, like, take that for what it is. Like, during our sequester, they were, like, bragging about how no one's ever quit Big Brother. And I'm like, I'm a super fan. I know some people have. They've gotten close. Shout out to Megan. Yeah. Not even Megan. No, Megan was ejected or something. It's technically not a quit for, like, in their logic. So I think this is an easy ranking. If you want to make a case for her, you can. I don't know why you want to. Megan quit straight up. Not according to Big Brother. Not according to them. Was she sleep deprived? Look, there's a ton of factors. Being the Big Brother house is crazy. It's not surprising that, like, people crack. It was just like, okay, clearly you're not capable of playing Big Brother. All right. Number 80. We're out of removals and ejections at this stage. Now it's all real Big Brother players who were put on the block and evicted. Or White Locusted. So coming in at number 80, Rachel. Okay, let's just get out ahead of this. Y'all are not going to see Daniel for a while. He's a menace, 100%. One of my least favorite Big Brother players ever. There's a lot of players much worse than him. Like, much worse. So, I'm just warning you so we don't just do this every time. Number 80 is, in my opinion, incredibly obvious. I'm shocked that no one has said this yet. Guys. Kenny Kelly. Guys. Y'all forget? Kenny. Third voted out of season 26. 0 HOHs. Got close to that first HOH, in which case he said the game's going to be totally different. He won a veto to kind of save himself, I guess. Seemed pretty good at comps. Nominated 3 times in his 3 weeks in the house. Tried to quit every week. Essentially did quit by the end. He wanted to quit like day 4, and he never rebounded. A lot of players want to quit at one point. Suri had a week where she wanted to quit. Rachel had a week where she wanted... You know. People have their moments. It's hard in there. Kenny genuinely wanted to quit the whole time. Socially, he did not have much going for him. His closest ally, Matt Hardiman, who was on the block with him, Matt didn't really care for Kenny that much. MJ didn't care for Kenny, even though they were on the same side of the house. He had a bond with Cedric, I guess. But, like, Cedric didn't care about Kenny. Strategically, he knows the game a little bit. Like, he understands the mechanisms, which is more than you could say for a lot of house guests. But it never translates to anything. He was adversarial with Brooklyn because he was so paranoid about a women's alliance that never existed. They were kind of trying to make it exist, but, like, come on. Tried to bond with Quinn, sure. I just think Kenny is a player. There's just no redeeming qualities outside of compability, which is valuable. But compability does not override how desperately you're trying to quit the game every week. Didn't Tucker like him? I don't know. I mean, they're buds now. But in the house, I didn't see anything meaningful between the two. He was never in the game. He could never be considered as a real ally because he was not reliable in the context of staying in the game. He didn't want to. Kenny would come alive anytime he won a comp, yeah. Off the show seems like a great guy. Look, wanting to quit Big Brother, I think it's lame. Doesn't make you a bad person. He's been very nice every time we've hung out. Cool dude. Wife is super great, too. Okay. Let's get on to number 79. This is where I really had to start making decisions. The first 3 were, like, default picks for me. Like, not an ounce of brain energy went to those decisions. This is where I had to start cooking a little bit. And I think this might seem like a bit of recency bias. But I feel good about this decision. Tom got it. I have Amy. Now, this is not all because of Amy's gameplay. Partially, it's an archetype thing. Being the mom in her 40s who's not good at competitions, that just hurts. When all these players who I'm going to talk about today are very bad at Big Brother. Or at the very least, bad. But some of these other people, you can bank on them just, like, winning a veto or 2, going on a comp run, getting in a show. Like, there's paths to winning. The Big Brother format is just not good for Amy, on top of the fact that She didn't know what was going on in the game, didn't really know much about Big Brother, seemingly, at least, on the feeds, didn't give me that vibe. Her closest ally, Rachel, she's shit-talking around every corner, blaming Rachel for her position when Rachel is the only one desperately trying to save Amy. She's on the block twice. She's only there for 2 weeks. There's a great chance she gets evicted week 1, had a blockbuster worked out differently. She has allies, but those allies don't care about her because Amy doesn't give them anything meaningful. She ends up going on Jimmy's HOH. There's just nothing good about Amy's game, and there's no reason for me to believe that Amy could succeed in a future season. Here's what Amy has going for her. She's not like an annoying personality. She seems like a normal person. So could she theoretically get jury votes? Yes, compared to other people. There's some people on this list who I'm like, how the hell are you ever getting to 4 jury votes, 5 jury votes? Amy, it's like, well, she's fine. I just think it's kind of remarkable that she had 2 weeks of gameplay, and I can't point to a single good thing she did. Everyone else has something. Amy has nothing, and I think she was pretty well situated in this house. Like, Vince being first HOH should have been fine. She gets Jimmy as a second HOH. Like, she should be coasting with her majority alliance of women. And it just never materializes. She seems like such an obvious early boot consistently. I agree. I think that's right. Now, she seems fine. No shade towards Amy. I just don't think as a Big Brother player she stands much of a chance, partially because how the game works, and she's just kind of like disadvantaged by virtue of who she is, and also how she was playing. Okay. Number 78, any predictions? Any predictions? Number 78. The 4th, or is the 5th worst player? I see Kirsten, Lisa. Is it a first boot? I'm not going to hint. Someone, I believe, got it. Pooch. It's Pooch. So now, some people might be saying, well, Cory, I don't understand how you have all these players ranked here. There's some disaster week 1 HOHs. I think being week 1 HOH is a good thing, generally. In the modern era, I kind of wouldn't mess with it. Like I would just want my ally to win or someone who I'm kind of good with to win. But I think when you win the week 1 HOH, there's a lot of ways for things to go against you. There's a lot of ways to get evicted week 2. Whereas Pooch, who week 1, he wins Backstage Boss, doesn't really matter. He gets in this big alliance, right? He's with everyone. He's in the majority. He's the anti-Taylor crew. Coasting. And he just like fantasizes a way to get himself evicted. Like he makes it out of nothing. There's no chance of being evicted and he just makes it. Socially, he had some buds, of course. The Oasis, shoutouts. But leaking is All Men's Alliance, which wasn't really done by him. That was more Kyle. It gets leaked, it gets around. He volunteers for the block at a stage where everyone wants him out already. He doesn't even know it. He's unaware the entire time, yet he still volunteers to sit next to Taylor for, like, the satisfaction of it all. Very, is it Dustin? What's his name from BB-8? Who wanted to sit next to Dick. Is it Braden? I forget. He wants to sit next to Taylor. Unsurprisingly, it's Dustin, yeah. Gets evicted. I give a lot more criticism to players who manufacture their own demise. Like, they go out of their way to do it, as opposed to, like, your first HOH, a lot of people have screwed that up. A lot of people have won from that position, but I think it's more excusable to screw up a first HOH. Maybe he could be good at comps. Seems like a normal dude every time I met him. Like, I could see in another season he could just do fine if he just socializes and doesn't not like volunteer himself. But from what we've gotten, I think this ranking's fair. Yeah, Braden's worse than Dustin. All right, number 77. Who could follow up Pooch? It's a tall order. Do we get one of those first HOHs? There was some crazy reigns. We still got Lisa. Brent. Frenchie. All right. Coming in at number 77 is Pooch again. I forgot to change the name. It's Matt Hardiman. During the season, I didn't think Matt was like a catastrophic first boot. It was kind of like Angelo wins first HOH. He goes up, has a bad HOH conversation, but it didn't seem that bad. Angela obviously just kind of blew it out of proportion. Then he loses some comps, and he's like the big guy on the block. Easy target, HOH target, gets sent home. As time has progressed, I get the feeling that Matt Hardiman did not have much potential as a Big Brother player. First of all, he's not allowed to lie. It's against his faith. Second of all, he's insane. Now, he does seem to have some capacity and ability as like a gaslighter manipulator, which that could be helpful. I don't know if he'd be able to use those tools in the context of the game. I don't have much more to say about Matt. I just think, like, he did get unlucky with the HOH outcome, but what are the odds he's unlucky with most HOH outcomes? He had some people who liked him. He was good with MJ. He was good with Leah. Quinn and him were good. Like, he had a lot of outs week one. You know, if someone else won HOH, but they didn't. Kenny. His resume is not that bad. It's just there's nothing really to praise. The one day he chose to strategize in the storage room was just a mess. The barbershop's ridiculous. Like, there's just a lot to demerit him for and not a lot to credit him with. I think he would have been so bad the longer he stayed. I think he would have been an excellent villain. Like, I think a Matt Hardiman return is more entertaining than a lot of other people. Like, I think low-key he'd be a fun return. I don't forecast it, I don't advocate for it, but I think it'd be fun. Perfect timing. What's up, Alex? Don't worry, none of our friends are being ranked today. I think that's all I got to say about Matt Hardiman. I don't want to get clipped. I don't want him to hear someone talking about him. Number 76. Number 76. Who could it be? So many good options. Yeah. Pooch 3. It's possible. Lisa. Frenchie. Coming in at number 76. Frenchie! Putting aside the talking to minors thing, which, you know, again, the putting aside lifting continental shelves, Frenchie was a mess. He wins the first HOH and immediately declares, I'm not targeting a woman. But I would like to target a showmance. Now, I've never seen a gay showmance in the history of Big Brother. So that put him in a bit of a dilemma. Basically, he wants to put up Christian and Alyssa because he sees the budding romance, right? And then everyone's like, Frenchie, what the fuck? You said you weren't going to nominate women. He's like, oh, right. I'll nominate the boys. I'll nominate Brent. Brent goes to him and is like, dude, I love you. Okay, now they're a final two. You can't target Brent anymore. Eventually lands on Travis, which, like, from the start of the week, could have been a fine target. He puts up Kylan. Derek saves Kylan. Travis ends up being evicted. It's not great for him, but it's like, that target isn't the problem. It's how he ran his HOH. In fairness to Frenchie, he enters week 2 with a couple of allies, or at least people who are not going to gun for him. Big D's not targeting him. Whitney's not targeting him. Brent's not targeting him. There's like a group of like 5 or 6 house guests who are down. Now, one of those people who was not down was Kylan. And Kylan, who Frenchie had nominated, wins HOH, targets Frenchie. Frenchie kind of quits the game after the veto, but tries to campaign a little bit. Gets evicted unanimously. Thought he stood a chance. Actually, is it unanimous? He might get like 2 votes. Yeah, BB23, there were a couple like random votes here and there, but like Tiffany. But he gets evicted in dominating fashion. Here's the thing about Frenchie. He was the first HOH, so I give him a little bit more grace. the first HOH has a higher chance of being evicted second than most house guests. You just put yourself out there, It doesn't absolve him of his gameplay, but it's context. I think he obviously knows the show to a much greater degree than most people we're going to talk about. He's a big fan. His execution was just so chaotic, and I like his instinct of, once Kylan wins HOH, he immediately sells out the slaughterhouse, which I like. I like the instinct. It's just so see-through when, sometimes you have to stand pat with your alliance and hope they'll win a veto to protect you. I don't think they would have. I think back to our season. Jared wins HOH after the Izzy flip, and I could go to Jared and rat out Matt and Jag, tell him everything about the flip and our name and all of that. I could. I think a lot of people were saying I should have done it. But then my game ends. There's no path forward after that. Instead, I said, you know what? The backdoor option's Cameron. Let's try to figure something out. Jag or Matt win the veto. Let's keep this backdoor open. Try to survive the week, still having the structure. Frenchie was the target. He wasn't the backup target, so I understand he didn't have that same level of luxury to be able to plan. But I don't think he was very tactful in blowing up his own alliance. It didn't help him. It just antagonized his allies against him. So Frenchie was a bad player. Terrible HOH. A little bit unlucky with the week 2 HOH outcome. But outside of that, there's not much more to praise. He's basically here because he knows the game well. Clearly has some competition prowess. That's it. There's Frenchie. I believe the first HOH on our list. Which leads us to number 75. Top 75. This is a big deal for someone. I've talked to the alum. A lot of them are very nervous about falling outside the top 75. He's dressed like he wants to go cryptid hunting. Good one. Lisa. Kirsten. Jerry keeps saying Kristen, which is funny to me. Zay. Heisem. Daniel. Brent. Coming in at number 75 is Lisa. My opinion of Lisa as a player has actually fallen over the years, which is kind of weird because obviously it's not like I've gotten more data. She didn't go in beast games. I just think as time's gone on, it's become more clear to me that Lisa is amazing casting, much better casting than I thought, and a worse player. I didn't realize how disruptive she was in that house. She is quirked up. She's a character. The glitter was kind of all I really remembered her for on the feed. She didn't play a huge role in my view. She was not on Beast Games, though. But apparently she's just kind of built different. She wanted to sage the house. No one got along with her. She's on the block against Angela, and people unanimously decide Lisa has to go. That's not a good look. They decide they want to keep Kenny over her. It's just very clear she had never seen an episode of Big Brother before. Comp-wise, she got a veto, so there's something there. But you wouldn't expect her to be able to, run the table or anything, or go on a comp run. She's there for 2 weeks, gets nominated twice. Her only real ally is, Leah, kind of, but even that is pretty weak. She's kind of working with Quinn, but Quinn's obviously got so much else going on at that point. She gets in a fight with Angela where she comes off much better, and they're still choosing Angela over her. Tucker hates her for no reason. I don't really blame her for that, but it happened. It's not good to have one-sided vendettas against you. Yeah, when she stood up and interrupted him, I guess that's what she did. So I think in general, Lisa's a player who very rarely has a chance of winning Big Brother. Maybe she could do a Caitlyn Herman thing of just kind of be there for a while. Sam Bledsoe just weasel away towards the end and lose. But it feels almost impossible for Lisa to win a season. The credit I'll give her, she seems incredibly likable. I've never met Lisa. Everyone who has says she's great. Just super fun. Social, and that could go a long way in a house that just vibes with you more. I think BB26 had too little energy for Lisa. I think she would have been much more successful in 27. 25 would have been rough for her, but maybe 23, I think there's other casts that would have appreciated Lisa more. Okay. That's about all I got to say about Lisa. How about 74? Maybe if she's on a season with everyone featured in today's presentation. That's interesting. Who would my winner pick be in that world? Let me think about it. 74. Was it 74? 25 would have eaten her alive. Yeah, it would have been bad. It would have been bad. She would have gotten like the Bowie treatment, but worse. Coming in at number 74 is Brent. This stance is so funny to me. All right, let's talk about Brent. Brent has one thing to prop him up for. He did a Cory Wertenberger, or I guess I did a Brent. He talked himself off the block week 1. Frenchie's HOH. He has every intention to nominate Brent. Brent goes into the HOH room, sweet talks Frenchie, ends up with a final 2 with Frenchie, gets himself safe that week. That's great. You love to see that. Now, he makes no headway in the game outside of that, of course. Frenchie goes next week, but after that, he's the consensus house target. He has no idea. He's making kind of misogynistic comments, being very arrogant, have a lot of bravado, not aware that he's on the bottom, thinks he's running things. Kind of just irritates everybody. Becomes a consensus house target week 3. That's really all she wrote. He still believed in the slaughterhouse. He was just weeks behind, and it was only week 3. It's kind of hard to be that far behind. I think Brent could do, like, okay on a different season if he was, like, BB16, just the bros broing out. But BB23 was not that, and we haven't had a season like that since. Matt and Jag were bros, but there was not, like, 4 other bros with them. I think that's what Brent needs to succeed. Yeah, exactly, Matt and Doofus. It was just odd. There's a lot of odd behavior, odd comments, and I think that's really what led to him having no shot, right? Like, he was just the target. Unless he won a comp, he was going home. And even still, when he's put on the block, he doesn't believe that he's a pawn like Kyland is saying. That's not Kyland. Who's the week 3 HOH? It's Xavier, right? I think it's Xavier. I don't know. I think Xavier tells him he's a pawn. He just doesn't believe it. But he still thinks he has the votes to stay and gets blindsided regardless. So, like, I'm not going to give him credit for sniffing that one out. Like he was right about one read, wrong about the other, still gets sent home to his surprise. So Brent's at 74. I don't think there's much to prop him up for, but I think he's less egregiously bad than the people below him. 73. 73. We're approaching the end of today's list. I'm getting kind of emotional about that. We're not that close. We still have like a little under half. Brent would have done potentially well pre-BB23. I think so. I agree. Travis, Indy, Kelly, Jorgensen. Let's see. Who do we have? Kelly! We take a big jump. I think before this, the best placement was 14th? Yeah, 14th was the best placement. And then we get Kelly, who's 7th. Okay, where do I start with Kelly? So, it feels weird placing Kelly here because we saw so much Kelly. She should have been evicted weeks 1, 2, or 3. And she was saved by the grace of new twists popping up. Her getting further into the game is not a result of, like, okay, she weaseled her way out of spots, or, like, she had allies who wanted to keep her. Like, she won blockbusters. She was good at them. Week 1, Vince's HOH. They're apparently like a final 2, at least from Kelly's perspective. Vince is, you know Vince is. Kelly is like begging to be nominated. Eventually she is like, actually maybe not. By that point it's too late. She gets nominated. She is probably the target week 1. She probably stays against Zay, but definitely goes home against Amy, and it felt very unlikely that Amy would win the blockbuster, so it was like a 50-50. Does Kelly go home week 1? On Vince's HOH. Week 2, again, volunteers. Even if she didn't volunteer, she was an obvious nomination. for Jimmy. She ends up winning the power in that veto competition, or it's the... You guys know what I mean. She wins the power to get herself a chance to win the veto. She ends up winning that veto, so that's her veto win. Keanu was probably the target, but, like, he won the veto, so she would have been the next target. And if neither of them won the veto, he probably would have won the blockbuster. Point is, Kelly was probably going to be evicted week 2, if not for her twist. Week 3, she's also going to be evicted. But she wins the blockbuster, resulting in Adrian being evicted. Then she stabilizes a little bit. A little bit. The best part of Kelly's game is towards the end game. She gets 7th. By, like, the final 7, it was like, Kelly could kind of reach the end. Kelly had Ava and Lauren as allies, and they were kind of all going to stick together. And she had a decent shot of winning competitions against those players. Like, it felt like there was a path for her to get into the end game. But she had no shot of getting the votes. Like, everyone was like, oh, God, I would never vote for Keanu. He's so annoying. I mean, if he's next to Kelly, I guess. Like, that's where Kelly was at jury management. Now, everyone loves her. She's very charming in her interview. She seems great postseason. Like, it's not a testament to her character, but as a player, what we saw, social game was one of the worst we've ever seen. But she had some friends. Catherine liked her. Lauren liked her, of course. Keanu liked her. Another thing I gotta discredit her for is, like, her and Keanu are on the bottom the whole time, and she just keeps selling him out for no reason. It doesn't help her at all. Like, there were times during the season where it felt like Kelly could have gotten someone together. Not that she had to orchestrate her alliance. It was just like, just don't rat out your friends. And she just couldn't do it. She was an instigator, right? The other thing is, like, she was this instigator, but she never really was able to instigate anything because no one listened to what Kelly would say. Most of the instigating that Kelly would do would just end up people, like, confronting Kelly and then Kelly crying. So I think this is a generous placement for Kelly. I'm basically giving it to her because comp ability is somewhat proven. It's not like she's great at comps, but, you know, she's won a couple. And she does have the ability to get allies. Like, some people liked her. So for me, that's enough to get her here, but, like, I was closer to ranking her worse than this than better. We're not getting there today, Bella. Quinn's not a perfect player, but he's not in the bottom 17. All right, number 72. Number 72. She called out Vince when she got evicted. Yeah, like, at that point, at the stage of the game, everyone knows each other. You know what I mean? Like, you're not... There's no big reveals. Everyone knew the perception of Vince. All right, number 72. We have... Kelly Jorgensen again. Or Kirsten. Let me cover up the name. There we go. Oh, that actually works. Because it's an N and then a K. All right. Kirsten. We're going to 60... What is it? I don't know. We're doing 17 players today. We started at 82. Kirsten places 16th. She's the first house guest evicted. Luke, of course, is ejected before her. I think Kirsten gets extremely unlucky with how she gets evicted. Obviously, she loses a competition, which puts her on the block. And then from there, the veto is won by Heisem. You know, like, Felicia immediately rushes the HOH and says, we got to target Kirsten, and that basically is why Riley decided to target Kirsten. The thing about Kirsten, though, is she was probably, outside of Luke, the person who had seen the show the least. She did not know what she was walking into. On that first night, I was panicking, but I was able to keep it cool. Jared was able to keep it cool. Felicia was able to keep it cool. Kirsten was not able to keep it cool. She's running around, forming alliances. I think playing hard, playing fast. Like, I don't blame her too much. She's on the block. You got to play. But you got to be a little bit more tactful about how you play, and I think Kirsten is not tactful. She ends up getting caught by Suri, which, again, kind of unlucky. Right, she's in the Phalanx 5 with Jared. She's trying to make something with Suri, and then Jared tells Suri about the Phalanx 5. Like, I think when you're spewing that much information to so many people so early in the game, you're destined to get caught. It just so happens the Suri-Jared dynamic kind of expedited this whole process. And then what really cooked Kirsten, when Riley takes me off the block, I think that sealed her fate. If it was Kirsten versus me, I think she has a very good chance of staying. I think it's frankly a little bit more likely she stays than not, but it's very close. Against Felicia, there's just nothing to do. Nobody was going to vote out Felicia. I tried to be as nice as I could to Kirsten, hear her out. I was never, ever considering keeping Kirsten, and I felt like we connected decently well. It was just a rough spot. But I don't see much comp ability there. I don't see much game sense at all. Like, from what we saw strategically, she was kind of a mess, and socially, she was perfectly fine. Some people didn't like her. Suri and some of her allies were not the biggest Kirsten fans. I just wasn't privy to that. I don't really understand it. She seemed great when I was talking to her. But really, it's like, what praise is there to give Kirsten as a player? It's like, she got unlucky. She got unlucky, and I think she made her position slightly worse as well. What's the status between you two now? I haven't talked to her since... We texted a bit when we were in Houston, America and I, to meet up, but it didn't materialize. I'd love to hang out with Kirsten. But I did meet her, like I knew her for 9 days, 2.5 years ago, you know? Like, I can tell you there's negative beef between me and Kirsten. But I can't say there's much of a relationship there. If first week noms were decided normally, I think it would have been Kirsten and Luke. Because Kirsten was also doing this thing with, like, Matt and Riley, saying that Matt and Riley were a showmance when Matt actually liked her and stuff. And it was just, like, kind of crazy stuff to do week one, especially when Riley's HOH. So I think Riley probably would have put up Kirsten and Luke with Luke as the target. Maybe Kirsten as the target, and then as the week went on, Luke would become the target. I think they should have canceled her eviction, in which case I think she could have stuck around for a while. Like, there's no reason she would have gone home week 2. I think that probably would have been someone like... Probably still Riley, right? Heisem probably still wins HOH and guns after Riley. And then from then, we're targeting Heisem. So, like, she could have had a path to get, you know, decently far in the game. It's just, we didn't see it. People begged for her to be on the challenge. We didn't see much. Kirsten did not strike me as, like, a super physical competitor. She ends up losing, like, the strength thing, which, like, she's competing against Heisem and Matt. I get that. She also loses to Blue by a good margin. Blue's a good competitor. She's strong, but, like, there's no indicator that she's, like, you know, she's obviously in good shape. But beyond that, like, Ashley was in good shape, too. It doesn't mean Ashley would, like, do super well in the challenge, you know? All right, number 71, predictions. Who do we got? It was funny, though. Matt and Doofus, I thought it was a good time. Daniel. Travis. Yeah, Travis still here, huh? Still got a couple of first boots. At number 71, I have Adrian. I think there's an argument that I'm too low on Adrian just because people seemed to like him and he was good at competitions. But he was not willing to lie. That's a problem. He was not willing to lie. He would have gotten evicted a week earlier. He was there for 3 weeks, got nominated twice, was the target week 2, but not week 3, weirdly enough. Basically makes no allies the entire season. Like, he's good with, like, Kelly and Keanu, kind of, but those are the worst people to be good with. He's good with Zach, but Zach doesn't care about him. He ends up going on Lauren's HOH when, like, everyone in Lauren's alliance wants Adrian to stay but won't advocate for him. Then he campaigns, and, like, he did campaign. He had conversations with everyone. They were just terrible. He had a good one with Mickey, a terrible one with Rachel. I was doing the live feed update this day. He's just a super fan who seemingly has not seen the show, who's good at comps but won't lie, who socially just seems pretty introverted. People liked him a lot, but, like, didn't care about his position in the game at all. Like, he wasn't valuable to anybody. And I think for all those reasons, this feels about right to me. I think he's slightly better because people wanted to work with him. Why didn't they? I guess that's my next question. Like, why didn't he have allies then? People wanted to work with him. Because he kind of, like, pushed people away by virtue of, like, his philosophy on the game and just not being socially super active. His pregame interviews are legendary, though. I agree, Jerry. I mean, Brianna, he just wasn't a super fan, right? Like, have people, like... Here's, I guess, what I'll say. How many seasons of Big Brother do you think Adrian has watched? Like, I'm not even talking, like feeds or reading updates. Just, like, how many winners can he name? I think it's less than 5. I think he gets Taylor, Jag, Chelsea, Ashley, Derek, and then it gets hard, right? Will. He gets Will and Dan probably. He gets to 7 or 8. I don't think he was a casual. Like, I don't know. I don't claim to know. Seems like a nice guy. But the label of superfan was obviously misplaced, right? Good for him for using it for casting. Like, I don't blame him, but... Like, Lauren was exponentially more of a fan than Adrian. Like, exponentially. So was, it goes without saying, Quinn, Joseph, myself, America, Izzy, like. But I will say, if he made it, like, he won that blockbuster, made it a couple more weeks, he has a shot at AFP, him or Keanu. The show is pushing it. He is Spencer from Survivor, but Spencer was good. That could be the worst comparison of all time. That could be the worst one I've seen. All right, number 70. Let's just do it. I got Riley. Shoutouts. The Nash villains, huh? I think Riley... There's an argument that Riley is the most overrated player in Big Brother history. Or, not Big Brother, in the new era. I think there's just, like, a delusion about, like, Riley as a player because she had a cult, allegedly. She did not have a cult. And I think what's frustrating about Riley specifically, and maybe this is me punishing her too much for this, she had every opportunity to stay. Like, it almost seemed impossible that she wouldn't stay against Cameron. And she found a way to not get the votes. All she had to do is go to Suri and Izzy. Or, she didn't have to go to Suri and Izzy. They went to her, and they're like, Riley, what are you thinking moving forward? And all Riley had to say was like, I think I'm going to be loyal to you. And she stays. If she spent one night hanging out with Suri or Izzy instead of Matt, Jag, and Blue, she stays. Instead, she just hangs out with her friends and gives vague answers saying she's going to stop trying to win competitions. I think her HOH reign is pretty bad. Ultimately, Kirsten as a target is fine. She probably should have left me on the block, but that wasn't that big of a decision. Like, she gained a good ally out of me. Like, I would have worked with her, obviously. But she just stays upstairs all week. And I get it. Like, people keep wanting to talk to her and have conversations. But she's very isolated from the house by the time she ends up heading downstairs. So, when Heisen wins HOH, I'm throwing her to the wolves. Jared's throwing her to the wolves. America's throwing her to the wolves. Jag and Blue put up more resistance, but it doesn't take long for them to throw her to the wolves. Cameron's probably riding and dying for her. He's on the block because of that. She does get unlucky with a Heisem HOH. Like, most seasons, just someone else from Family Style will win there. She also gets unlucky with the Jared and Suri thing. Like, there's some pieces you could say, like, that's rough for her. Strategically, she just didn't have that dog in her to, like, cut her allies. Like, I would tell her very explicitly, like, Riley, this is the reason people don't want to keep you. And she just wouldn't listen. Or she would listen and then not execute it, right? And I think it's just because, like, Riley's not strategically cutthroat. It's not in her nature. She's just a nice human. And I think Riley could succeed in other seasons. She is very charming. She's very social. She's likable. She could win competitions. That's enough to be, like, fine on most seasons. I don't think she's a player who should be first HOH. I think that was pretty devastating for her. If she were to get called back for All-Stars, I would tell her to throw the first HOH 100%. And just be fun, be a vibe, hang out with the HOH for a few hours, and she'd be fine. I just think when people talk about her cult, there was no cult. Blue was cutting her. Jag decided it was fine to cut her. It really just came down to Matt, which is good. Having an ally is important, but that cult did not exist. And in terms of competitions, like, she did win that balance beam comp, which is good, and I assume she'd be good at other stuff, but, like, I don't think she would have been a comp beast necessarily. In the one, like, mental, physical combination comp she did pretty poorly. So that's Riley, number 70. Great person, but this felt right to me. I was having a big debate in my head, Riley or Kirsten. I just think Riley's, like, social magnetism is valuable enough. Cameron also wrecked her mental. Yeah, I mean, in fairness, like, we all saw through Cameron's bullshit, even in Family Style, and Riley didn't. I'm not trying to victim blame. She's not a victim. You know what I mean? Like, I think you guys get what I'm trying to say. Like, but that is kind of an issue, that she was able to be manipulated by Cameron when no one else was manipulated by Cameron the entire season. Right. All right. Number 69. Nice. Fitting, right? Got Zay. So here's the thing about Zay, right? I think Zay's worst gameplay was off feeds. It was his first couple days when there were no feeds, and Zay apparently doesn't talk to Vince, the HOH, at all, ends up on the block. We didn't really see that. But we know what happened, and it checks out. What we did see from Zay was a pretty good campaign. He reminds me of, like, a much worse Morgan in a lot of ways, where, like, he was running around the house, talking 1,000,000 miles an hour to everyone he could find, and a lot of people liked him. He had a lot of people riding for him. Zach's hysterically crying in his eviction. Vince really wants to... Like, there's a lot of people who want to keep Zay in the house. And I think if he wasn't nominated week 1, he probably gets at least to the mid-game, final 12. Probably would have been decent at comps. Being higher than Adrian, I feel confident about that. Zay's willing to lie, willing to scheme, willing to socialize with the other house guests. I don't think that's close. I think Zay is a victim of playing too slow too early. And it put him on the block, and then he was just too delicious of a target. When you got someone like Zay on the block week 1, you're just going to vote him out over Amy. It's not a hard decision. He was staying versus Kelly. Morgan says that Zay would have gone. My memory tells me that Zay would have gone against Kelly. I think she's right. Because I think it was basically Rachel's whole faction. Like Rachel, Mickey, Jimmy, all of them were leaning Zay. But Jimmy was kind of pro Zay. I don't know. It was pretty close. The point is, he had a chance versus Kelly, whereas he did not have a chance versus Amy. There's not much to talk about with Zay. I just think he was, like, competent strategically, competent socially, seemingly would have been good at comps, but, like, you just didn't see it because he had a bad first 3 days. He did play chess. That's true. So it might seem ridiculous to have Zay over all these other players. I just think the 1 week of Zay gameplay I saw was better than the however many weeks I saw from everyone else. And I think Zay was less responsible for his own eviction than a lot of the other people were. The stuff with Rachel is strange. Rachel is a great TV character because she gets in beefs with people. Targeting the vet is a bad move week 1, but, like, it's a decent instinct, you know? So that's Zay. It's just not that much to talk about with him. Now, who's number 68? He would talk nonstop. Yeah, but, like, I think that's better than not saying enough. Like, I prefer Zay's way of gaming to Ava, for example, or, like, T-Core. I think they're better players than Zay, as evidenced by where I ranked them. But in terms of like how they strategize, I think Zay's way is more effective. Coming in at number 68. Thunder, good work. Big D, runner-up, nominated 4 times. I think what Big D has going for him is he understands the game. He's willing to lie. You know, he's a player. I think if he came back, he'd actually do a lot better, in fairness. Especially because he's gotten into really good shape. The issue with Big D is just like, he gets to an end game where he gets beaten unanimously by Azah, and he can't even get to the final 2 because Azah's going to take Xavier because she's so mad at him because he was so annoying to her. He was just kind of mean to a lot of people in the house. Pissed off all of his allies. Anyone who was not his ally thought he was doing nothing. Anyone who was his ally thought he was doing nothing. I'll give him credit for, like, assisting in the formation of the cookout, but the same thing I'd say about Enzo is, like, forming the alliance doesn't mean nearly as much as, like, making the alliance succeed, and I don't think Big D was a reason the alliance succeeded outside of being, like, a non-willing pawn. Obviously, competitions, he wasn't super competitive. He almost won one of those late game comps. I just think it's such an indictment that you get to the final 3 with X and Azah, and, like, you can't get a jury vote against either of them, and Azah's not even going to bring you. And I don't, like, blame her. You finally just learned what gaslighting means? Good for you, Dad. What did you say? He almost won the egg rolling comp and was shocking close to winning the Final Four. The Final Four veto is what I remember, yeah. So again, like, I think his strategic mind is okay. It's just socially, like, he did so poorly in that house despite being so insulated because of the cookout. And he just got, like, could he get a jury vote against anyone in the jury that season? He probably gets, like, Tiffany's vote against Sarah Beth. I guess here's a way I'll say it. Like, if the final 2 ends up being Alyssa versus Big D, I think the entire cookout votes against Big D, right? And that's a problem. Like, I can't give you credit for, like, making it deep into the game with your alliance if your alliance did not want to bring you deep in the game. It just kind of happened, right? Brittany. No, I'm talking jury. You got to make jury. He could maybe get votes over, like, Brent and Frenchie. Brittany, yeah, people didn't respect Brittany. You know, like, maybe he'd get a vote against a couple people. I just think it's, like, the version of Big D we saw play, I can't imagine him ever winning a season. Like, this feels like the best he could do. Alyssa could have won Wake It Up. I do think Alyssa beats him. I agree. Yeah. So there's not that much shade to Big D. Like, I've been an advocate. I think he should come back to TV at some point. I just think it'd be fun. I think he'd play like a madman, like shot out of a cannon. I just think this feels fair to me. Anywho, number 67, Heisem. Had to put them next to each other. What a podcast. Don't worry, Jimmy's not next. Heisem's weird because, like, he has so much stuff that's like, okay, this guy's not a good Big Brother player. Then he's got other stuff where I'm like, he might be the best Big Brother player of all time. This is my opinion. I don't have any evidence, but I feel strongly. I think Heisem's the best competitor in Big Brother history. I don't know if he's the strongest ever. I don't know if he's the fastest ever. I think if you did every single Big Brother competition, we did all of them in a row, everyone competes, I think he wins the most. I don't think you guys understand how impressive his performances were on 25. He was only there for 2 weeks, playing competitions at least. Holy shit, he was unbeatable. He barely lost to Matt, the Olympian, in the rowing competition. We never saw him in booth comps. He's a very smart guy. And the veto he won, Twisted Tasks, was very mental heavy. I have no reason to think he'd be bad at booth comps. We didn't see him in endurance. Anyone think Heisem's going to drop off the wall ever? You think Heisem's going to lose the pressure cooker? I think he has an argument for being the best competitor in Big Brother history. Not in terms of resume, not in terms, Jag won 10 comps in our season. I think Heisem would have beaten him in most of them. And I think Jag's underrated as a competitor. Heisem is just on a different level. Now, the social unawareness is an issue. I love Heisem outside the game. Obviously, we were like mortal enemies in there, which was pretty fun, but like in the house, he just didn't realize how he carried himself. And I think the bigger issue for Heisem, because sometimes I think he would know that, okay, how do I say this? Heisem often would know that he's coming across poorly to me, but he didn't care enough to fake it, or he didn't have the ability to fake that he liked me. And that was problematic for him, because when I, who is a very active player, know Heisem's a problem, I was trying to get him out, and I think I was a big part of why he wanted to leave. Now, the reason why Heisem's ranked here is not because he antagonized Cory. It's because Suri and Izzy and Felicia and all of his allies turned on him when it was so obviously a terrible move for them. You could definitely blame them. Be like, oh, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? Y'all are crazy for doing that. But Heisem made that possible by being Heisem and being very domineering and trying to steer the conversation at all times and saying what his allies can and can't do and forming outside alliances with Jag and Blue when he's telling all of his other allies that he can't make alliances. There's a lot of messiness. Strategically, I think he's pretty solid. I think Riley was a good target for him. I think for him, targeting Riley was better than targeting Cameron. His noms made a certain degree of sense. Really, he should have targeted me. But, that he would have gotten a lot of pushback if he did that. His campaign, once he was backdoored, was very good. The house flipped to save him twice. I had to shut those down. So, his campaign was just successful. It didn't pan out, but it was a good campaign. Socially is where he's got his issues. His number one ally, Izzy, turned on him. He goes home on Felicia's HOH. Super close to Suri. She's ultimately the decision maker. Sends him home. So what do you say about Heisem? It's like best competitor in Big Brother history. Pretty sound strategic mind. Social game is like a mess. Devin Shepard levels, right? So while I think you could argue he's got one of the worst social games on this list, I think those other two categories, specifically his physical capabilities, I think 67's good. And I believe we have one more player I'm ranking today. One final player. Who is it going to be? Who's it going to be? 65? There might be two more. I got Travis here. I think this is the last one. Let me check. Yeah, this is the last one. So I might have misspoken the title. Look, Travis for me is what if Zay made less mistakes? What if Zay made less... Travis probably does pretty decent on a decent amount of seasons, right? The dude did nothing. I agree, and that's why he's here. Likeable dude. Everyone likes him. Everyone who's met him outside the show says he's great. Super social. He really shouldn't have gone week one. Obviously, this is Frenchie's nightmare HOH. Kylan's a target. Brent's the initial target. Alyssa and Christian. Christian wins a power to save himself. There's so many ways for Travis to have not gone home week one. The vote flips a million times when he's on the block. But ultimately, he does get voted out, I think 11-2 or something. I think he could have stayed over Alyssa. Yeah, he was a very passive player, which I think is his biggest thing against him. But at the end of the day, he's a likable dude who probably would have been pretty good at comps, who wasn't the first, second, or third target of the HOH. Maybe the third target. And I just think he's like as blank slate of a player as there can be. If you put Travis on next season, no one would know who he was, and he'd probably do pretty well. And could you say the same about Heisem? Could you say the same about Frenchie, Brent? Travis has like the least amount of X's in the bad column. He doesn't have many things going for him in the good column. But like, tell me in chat, what was Travis's biggest mistake? It's not even rhetorical. If you got one, please. Like, his biggest mistake was just not doing enough, right? And on BB26, he would have fit right in. On BB27, he could have coasted for a while. Would you wear a shirt like this? I might have that exact shirt. No, I usually don't get ones with like big designs like that, like animals. He was passive, that's it. That's it. And there's other passive players we'll talk about way later in this list. But I think in general, like Travis, put him on 100 season. He probably does pretty well. Might win a couple. Like, straight up. And I don't think that's true for the other players we talked about today. So it may seem ridiculous that he's this high. But I feel pretty good about it. And that's it. Oh my God. The top or the bottom 17 players in the new era. We got Luke, Paloma, Kenny, Amy, Joseph, Frenchie, Lisa, Brent, Kelly, Adrian, Riley, Zay, Big D, Heisem, and Travis. You missed some really bad players. We'll talk about everyone, don't worry. But it was a pretty hard list to make. I mean, there's just a lot of bad. And that's because Big Brother is, and it's not like everyone on this list is dumb. Big Brother's a show that makes players look bad. If these players were on Survivor, you'd be like, oh, honestly, Travis had a lot of potential. If only he did X, Y, and Z. But because we see it on the feeds and we have like a full week to criticize and we get to go online and talk about them, and it devolves pretty quickly. Most players are bad. I'm going away from that kind of language, Tom. Someone pointed out in Reddit where it's like, most players aren't bad unless you're saying most players in all of reality TV are bad. I think Big Brother, they just look dramatically worse than other shows because we get all the context and all the bad, you know? And you get the full week of people shit-talking them. So that'll do it. My throat is giving out. That was an hour and 52 minutes of pure yapping. If y'all are not on the Patreon, we're bringing back the podcast starting next week. The book club is starting up pretty soon as well. We're starting Survivor David vs. Goliath coming up. A lot of exciting stuff on the Patreon. We're kind of back to business as usual. We decided to do the Patreon again, or the podcast again. We kind of ran out of reasons not to. You guys know my reservations about the podcast before. At the end of the day, if we say something we're not comfortable releasing, we'll just edit it out. So, like, I think it's fine. And ultimately, what it really comes down to is, like, if we're going to ask people to pay for a service, which, you know, we're not asking people, but if people are going to pay and we're going to create content, I want to create content that's somewhat worthwhile. I think the rewatches are very fun. I love watching other people watch stuff. But I think it's a little bit soulless to just have rewatch. Like, we're not doing anything. We're just watching other people's work, you know? So I just didn't really want that to be the vibe, you know? Anywho, that'll do it. Is Quinn live or any of the friends live for me to raid? Morgod, she live? Tasha's jury speech I watched at least 3 times. I forgot how awesome Trish's was. Oh my god, Trish's was so good. I remember it being good, but like, what a moment. I think that's my favorite jury speech ever. I think it beats Sue Hawk for me. America does know what book it is. She'll probably make a post soon. Chappelle's live. Let's raid Chappelle. What's Chappelle's at? Chappelle Show? Someone post it in chat, please. It was great because he answers yes, yes. And you know what? with anyone else, he would have like rambled on more. With Trish, he just actually gave a one-word answer. All right. Send Chappelle some love. I think it's in follower only, so drop him a follow. What's up, McCord? 3-stream streak. Love to see it. All right. See you guys. Thanks for hanging. Bye-bye.